Sorry I was so late getting this video out, guys. The spoilers are gonna kind of be wonky for the next couple weeks, I guess, because of those leaked panels that we got last week, which were never supposed to leak in the first place. So Redon, the guy who primarily supplies us with these spoilers, is gonna kind of be laying low for the foreseeable future, I guess, at least until the heat dies down from the publishing companies because of those said leaked panels. I also talked about this in my video last week, and the spoilers that we got yesterday were like vague, so I didn't just want to waste your guys' time with just saying like, oh, this chapter's about Raizo, because, you know, there was already a negative reception to it anyway. But it turns out that there's much more that happens in this chapter, especially with Luffy versus Kaido. It's not only about Raizo, so let's get into it. Title of the chapter is Raizo. We already saw that Raizo used his scroll to save Kaido's attacks, Bolo Breath, and return them to him. Speaking of negative reception, I think that moment also got quite a fair share of it when it happened a year and a half ago, I think, like around the late 990s. Everyone had their own take on it and how it broke the power scale or whatever, but it ultimately wound up meaning nothing because Kaido just destroyed all of them and didn't even have to go hybrid. It was just a nice moment for Raizo to have, you know, because the Scabbards got all of their own individual moments before ultimately getting destroyed. Something similar he did when he was in Zou. He kept in his scrolls the water that Zunisha used to bathe. Raizo had this idea in mind ever since the Odin Castle burned down 20 years ago, so that if he were ever in a similar situation again, he would be prepared. The water in his scroll has flooded the interior of the castle, and Jinbei is the one who controls the water, as his was a sea current to put out the fire. Alright, that's actually pretty cool, although still a little problematic with Raizo because he seemingly has hundreds of gallons, if not thousands of gallons of water in his scrolls somehow. The minutia of the ninjutsu in One Piece, I guess, ultimately doesn't really matter because it only really pertains to Raizo and like 8 other characters. But speaking of the other characters, Fukurokuju was also a ninja, and before this, Raizo was fighting against him for like, I don't know, 20 chapters or something, where they were kind of just in this stalemate of ninjutsu lock and seeing who would succumb to the fire in the castle first. And of course it was Fukurokuju who gave in first and Raizo persevered, but I don't know if that was like Fukurokuju dying, because I'm pretty sure there still needs to be a big reveal with him, like he's a part of the Third Eye tribe. He has like this divot in his forehead, and he also wears like sunglasses, so I'm assuming that he needs to reveal that, but also he has like earlobes like Enel, and I'm assuming that Enel is also part of the Third Eye because that's why he's always wearing the do-rag thing that he has. But that's a story for another time. It might not even come true, but it's a, you know, an interesting little theory. But I really like the way that he's synergizing with Jinbei here. Jinbei is one of my favorites, and just seeing him do more stuff is always nice, especially like when he's getting this fire out of the way, because it's been like this persistent ticking clock for like 6 months now. The first page is the cover, no details about it yet. The first 5 pages of the chapter are from Luffy versus Kaido. The next 9 pages are inside of the castle. Everything about Raizo, Jinbei, Sanji, and Zoro. Sanji and Zoro appear in 1 panel each. Sanji appears talking, and Zoro is carried away by Frankie. He doesn't say anything or is still unconscious. Okay, so we're getting a mild update on Zoro here. So after his fight with King, he was visited by this Reaper individual, and we all have tons of theories on what this could be. Of course, it hasn't been revealed yet. Could be the soul of Enma or something visiting him or whatever. There's a lot of like soul stuff going on in One Piece, and it becomes more and more evident as the series goes on. And I guess it also ties back to what the Buterman is, you know, the thing that like fixed up the Sunny. And I have no doubts that Oda will make everything come full circle, and he'll be like, oh, well, the Cloud Buterman has actually this, and it ties to this, and this is why devil fruits also have a mind of their own. I'm sure it's all connected. But what I'm trying to say is that the Reaper is probably tied to all of that stuff, and maybe it is coming from Enma or the hockey within it, or it could be something to do with the drug that Chopper gave him, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, we all have our own theories, and I'm sure everybody already knows and made up their mind in the comments anyway. But it also appears that that Reaper thing made some kind of tangible slice on Zoro, because in the panel that we see him after that sequence, it looks like he had like a new cut on him or something. But I'm glad that Frankie is at least getting him here. no, I never thought Zoro was going to die. Obviously, he's not. He meant what he said after he had lost to Mihawk. That will come to fruition. There is one page about Yamato and Momonosuke, and something about the clouds of flames. At the end of the chapter, Kaido's clouds that lift Onigashima have begun to fade. Yamato and Momonosuke start to notice that the island is about to fall. Okay, so finally this is coming into play. I was wondering when this is going to happen, because while we've been having a good time watching Luffy, you know, smack him around and clown him up, Kaido has been literally holding Onigashima up with his fruit ability, or one of his many fruit abilities. And I'm sure that is a factor into him not being able to go 100% or whatever against Luffy. I was wondering, like, okay, so how much does Luffy have to beat him down for this to just not work anymore? And we all knew that this was eventually going to be a thing, of course, and we just assumed, oh, I guess Momonosuke is going to be the one to keep it afloat, because, you know, of course, he has Kaido's cloud lifting ability thing. And if he does keep Onigashima afloat, and especially stops it from crashing into the Flower Capital, then that'll be like his big moment. Especially if everybody sees it, they can be like, oh, Momonosuke saved us all. We accept him as the new Shogun. But also, another thing that we speculated about before Momonosuke started doing the whole cloud thing was that Luffy was going to, of course, awaken his fruit, which he had, and then he was just going to change all of Onigashima into like rubber, so that instead of it crashing, it would just bounce like a massive ball or something. And that would be amazing as well, but it kind of takes away Momonosuke's moment, you know what I mean? Or maybe they could share the moment, like it's falling and then temporarily Luffy makes it rubber and it bounces up, and then Momonosuke catches it with his clouds or something. So we can have our cake and eat it. Or they can as well. And the final page where Luffy catches lightning, he looks like a god of thunder and goes to attack Kaido. And Kaido seems to laugh and say, go ahead, or something. Luffy's final attack has no name, and there's a break next week. This really goes back to the fights however he wants, exposition on Luffy's fruit. Catching the lightning, and then I guess he's attacking Kaido with it? That's pretty incredible. And it makes sense, of course, because, you know, Luffy being the rubber or resin or latex or whatever he truly is, we've seen that he was immune to Enel's fruit, so I guess he would be able to grab lightning and it would really have no effect on him. But him being able to like manipulate it and use it, that's a whole other story. Still pretty cool though. Now Kaido saying go ahead either means that like he's welcoming his defeat here, or he's like go ahead because Onigashima is gonna fall and you're gonna lose, or something like that maybe. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments, guys, and if you liked the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day. I'll see you in the next one.